Alam niyo ba na ang blackhead ay tagyawat at ang whitehead ay tagyawat? Yes, technically tatlo talaga ang kulay ng tagyawat. Redhead, blackhead, whitehead. Pero sa tatlong ito, hindi ko alam kung sino ang pinakamakulit. Ang tagyawat nga ba ang pinakamakulit or ang tao ang makulit?
Makulit. Tagyawat! Tagyawat, makulit!
Naitanong ko ito kasi minsan may maling pamamaraan ng isang tao na ginagawa pa ulit-ulit. At iyon ay pagpapalit-palit ng gamot na ginagamit sa acne or tagyawat sa loob lang ng ilang espasyo ng ilang araw lang. Like for example, bumili siya ngayon, after 1 week, dahil nakita niya na hindi tumatalab, quote and quote, ay papalitan na niya ito. Mali ito mga kaibigan at malalaman natin kung bakit sa video na ito.
So before even getting to the simple tips against acne, we first want to gain a foothold in understanding acne. We want to be able to dissect and study its life cycle. In short, we want to know our enemy better. So this nemesis of ours is called by different aliases. Sometimes it can be called acne vulgaris, a pimple, a zit, a blackhead, a whitehead, a tagyawat, sometimes a hickey, or skin bumps. Now there are differences between red pimples, blackheads, and whiteheads, but all these belong to the acne family. Pimples, as we know it, are a type of inflamed blemish, meaning they are red, swollen, and sometimes they itch or they hurt. Some stay small, but others can get fairly large. When they get large, they are called cystic. And pimples can appear in the face, the neck, shoulders, and upper torso, and even on the butt. Now we know that pimples or redheads are inflamed blemishes. What about their cousins? We call blackheads and whiteheads. These are non-inflamed blemishes, meaning they're typically flat and they don't swell or hurt. Blackheads are more visible than white, and they look like a well-defined dark dot on the skin, but whiteheads can be so tiny you can barely see them with the naked eye. They appear in the same place as pimples appear, but they're most common on the nose, the chin, and around the lips. So how does acne grow? Imagine acne to be seeds, and imagine your skin to be soil. The soil must be the right type of soil to best grow these seeds. But what makes a good soil for acne seeds? Clogged skin is good for acne. This is characterized by pores filled up with debris of oil, dirt, and bacteria. And these stick together because of lack of exfoliation or excessive exfoliation. If you under-exfoliate, dirt is not being cleaned up. That's why they accumulate. Meanwhile, too much exfoliation leads to overstimulation of the oil-producing glands under the skin, thus leading to more oil on the skin. This leads us to the second type of acne-prone skin, which is oily skin. It's characterized by shiny skin with large open pores. However, not all oily skin are acne-prone. Oil in the acne-prone skin is different. It has a much thicker consistency and more likely to clog the pores. The oil production can be related to several factors, including hormones, humidity, and poor skin care. Now that we know the fertile ground for acne, let us look at the life cycle of the three variants of acne, mainly the red pimple, the blackhead, and the whitehead. All acne takes time to grow. The different variants grow at different depths of soil and require different conditions to thrive. For red pimples, they will need a plug of oil, a patch of dead skin cells, a handful of P. acnes bacteria, and an army of white blood cells. Put this together and you get to the early stages of pimple. A redhead is formed in a pore deep within the skin. Starting with a mashup of oil and some dead skin cells, these plug the pore entrance. Now oil coming from the glands underneath can no longer flow out and they build up because of the plugged entrance. This oil is bacteria's favorite food. Some bacteria now see this as a golden opportunity to make a home for the family. And the bacteria then feed on the oil, they bear children, they grow and colonize the follicle, and the follicle becomes inflamed. This form will now stick up from the surface as a red head. Now let's transition to the middle stages. After a while, the white blood cells, which are the original inhabitants of the land, will drive out the bacteria, and the ensuing war between them will inflame the follicle even further, making it enlarge up to 4 times its original size. At some point, a white tip at the peak of the bump is seen. This is pus or nana. It's a collection of corpses of bacteria and white blood cells. Coming to the later stages, we note that a pimple's lifespan lasts for 3 to 7 days. That is, if you leave it alone, it will shrink in size and heal on its own, but it can linger longer with improper handling. Usually there are red or brown blemish pimple marks that fade in time, but scars that are depressed or raised may be permanent. Now let's look at the life cycle of white and black heads. The cycle is almost the same for these acne heads, but instead of a deep pore, they thrive in a shallow pore. They need the same requirements, but because the place is shallow, they flatten out and they do not lead to engorgement or swelling. For a white head, the early stage is usually spent on the ground. You can't notice it until it comes to a head, but this stage can be sped up by placing a hot, damp cloth on the area in 10-minute intervals until it comes to a head. For this type of head, the follicle is kept closed and the white sebum retains its original color. That's why it's called a whitehead. But for a blackhead, the shallow follicle is open, allowing the mixture to aerate, and air oxidizes it, turning it to black. This process is called oxidation. It's very similar to the browning of apple flesh when exposed to air. That's why it's called a blackhead. Now that we've seen how an acne is formed and have an idea about its life cycle, let's delve into the art of treatment backed by this knowledge. If you note, not every blemish has the exact same lifespan or be on the same stages as the others. At one point in time, if you look at your face, some pimples will be in the early stages, some in the middle stages, and some in the later stages. Also, your face will have a mixture of blemishes. Some red, some white, some blacks. Depending on which one predominates will be your approach to care. And this is the reason why we must be patient with acne regimens. Since we do not catch all of them at the same level of stage or sensitivity, we must wait until all the heads has come to that point. And this is a slow process, so patients must learn patience. So how long do we really have to wait before surrendering on a regimen? For me, 2 months is just enough. Yes, 2 months, not 1 week. Some people get frustrated because they don't see results in 1 week. Now that you know, you can be a little more forbearing. Aside from the type of blemish, we also take into consideration your skin type, whether you're oily or dry or combination type. For oily skin, these people can't exfoliate with face scrubs every day or they'll end up with more oil. For dry skin people, they can't use alcohol-based toners or they'll end up more dry. With this in mind, we should be more wary about the ingredients we have in our regimen. Another variation is severity. Different individuals will experience different forms of severity. There can be mild, moderate, or severe acne. Mild acne is when there's just mostly blackheads and whiteheads and a few of the redheads. Moderate acne is when you have about 120 pimples and at least 20 of them are redheads. Now, severe acne is when the redheads are bigger and deeper and more painful, and they usually scar, leaving irregular marks and depressions. These are all parts of the reason why there are several forms of medications used in treatment. They can come as cleansing wash, topical toners, anti-acne creams, lotions, gels, or even oral medications. Acne treatment is never one size, one regimen fits all kind of thing. Acne needs to be individually assessed and individually approached. But here we talk about treatment in general for the average acne patient. For mild acne breakouts, over-the-counter acne medication should do the trick. Options include salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, topical retinoids, or alpha-hydroxy acids we call AHAs, like glycolic acid. These help dissolve the dead surface cells and oil. Look for these ingredients in your cleansers, toners, and moisturizing creams. Meanwhile, if you have moderate to severe acne, meaning stubborn or widespread acne, over-the-counter medications won't work for you. You will need prescription acne medications from your doctor. These may include topical and oral antibiotics, and oral medications like birth control pills, which address hormonal issues, or isotretinoin that decrease the size and activity of the oil glands. All of these medications may carry their own risk and side effects, and thus they are not taken without a doctor's supervision. Finally, we've arrived at the 5 simple tips to fight off acne. Number 1. Cleanse your skin. It's the best way to combat and prevent breakouts. Make sure you're using a pH-balanced cleanser that is appropriate for your skin. This is responsible for removing makeup, dirt, and oil. Cleansers with hydroxy acids remove dead skin cell buildup. Which brings us to tip number 2, which is exfoliate your skin. If your skin is prone to congestion, regular exfoliation once a week can help prevent that congestion from escalating into a full-blown breakout. A good exfoliant is anything with retinol, but be wary of your skin's level of sensitivity. Retinol is incredibly powerful. If you've never used it before, let your skin adapt. Start with a lower concentration and apply it sparingly. Maybe start once a week, then gradually increase the frequency. Also, since retinol can increase your skin's sensitivity to sunlight, it's crucial that you apply sunblock during the day. Third tip, moisturize your skin. Many people don't know that actives are better absorbed right after you shower or after you apply a moisturizer. Topical creams that you apply pass through brick and mortar in order to go deeper. But when the skin is hydrated, the topmost layer is softened, and this preps the skin in order to facilitate the absorption. Tip number 4 is that blackheads and whiteheads can be gently squeezed out with cotton buds to remove them. Or you can use pore strips to extract them, but the results are temporary and they're not caught in their entirety, but rather just the top portion. It's still best to have a facialist remove them with the right tools and in the right manner. Finally, tip number 5, don't pop redheads. This is because popping can make things worse and lead to lasting acne scars. If you're in a pinch, try this overnight hack. Put a product formulated with benzoyl peroxide on a band-aid and apply it to the pimple. In the morning, the pimple is dry. So that's it. I hope this video helped in understanding your pimple better.